Good evening, Commander Dayton.
Commander Whalls.
Here we are at the Building Walls podcast. Chris, I got a quick question for you as we fire this off.
Fire it off, man. Let's go.
Can you tell me what is a woman?
Do I look like a fucking biologist to you?
Oh, man.
I just wanted to use it quick, right out of the gate. So
Right.
now we're just good to go. We can now get back to everything as scheduled.
I love some of the other things I hear about this.
Can't.
So someone's like, yeah, I have a dog, but do I not know it's a dog because I'm not a veterinarian? Like,
I think probably.
What does that mean?
And I mean, for anybody who is living under a rock and just doesn't understand what is transpiring, what we're talking about the fact that the Supreme Court Justice, nominee, what's her name, Kajana Brown, Carter, whatever.
I mean, you're fairly close, I think.
Whatever, close enough. She was asked by I think it was
Marsha Blackburn
from Tennessee.
Yep.
Can you define what a woman is? And she's like, not in this context. My job is to interpret the law and read the cases as they come at me. And she's like, you can't tell me what a woman is? She's like, no, I'm not a biologist. Which then, of course, right, Chad, I mean, every day, we could just be like, you know what, I don't think I can pay my taxes right now. Not a biologist.
So,
I mean, what's your take? I mean, seriously, How crazy is it?
What the first thing that gets me about all of this is I'm just using her words. So the left nominated her. So we know what political affiliation she has. She's not a biologist, yet they claim to follow the science. Right? So you are admitting that being a woman has something to do with biology, or else you wouldn't have made that statement. So if it didn't have to do with biology, you would have just said, I can't make that statement because I'm not a psychologist or I'm anything else. But you're literally stating, you're literally stating that it has to do with biology. So was she admitting that women do have vaginas and men do have penises because that's how they're biologically made?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we were asking her for a breakdown of the chromosomes.
Yeah, right. I mean, I thought everyone learned in school that a woman has 2 X chromosomes. May God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
And a man has an X and a Y.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not a biologist either, but I know that.
I mean, maybe you're qualified for the Supreme Court now. I don't know. Should you get nominated? I'd like to be nominated. Can you imagine me in one of those settings? So there, Mr. Dayton, thank you for coming here today. And I just sit down and I grab my coffee, whatever. And it would be like Chris's Corner, except for you, Chad, asking me questions. Yeah. It would be senators. And go ahead, Mr. Booker, ask me some questions and I'll make you look stupid.
I like beer.
I like beer. Mr. Dayton, do you like beer? No, I like 5 beers.
Yeah. Why just settle with 1?
Why? Why are you stopping at 1? Mama didn't raise no quitter.
That's right.
Let's go. This is America. Indulgence.
You know what else I find interesting about this too is that they claim that she would be the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. So they don't care
that. We can't define that.
We can find that.
How do we know? We don't know. We don't know if she's a woman. True. She doesn't know if she's a woman.
That's true. Yeah. See, there you go. So the other thing that's crazy about this is Clarence Thomas is a Black man. So when does the left stop pandering to the gender of the day or the race of the day? It's not good enough to just be a Black man that made it to the Supreme Court. It's not good enough to just be a woman that made it to the Supreme Court. Now we have to focus on a very particular niche, a Black woman. Yet there was, what's her name? Janice Rogers, I believe, back in the early 2000s was nominated for the Supreme Court. And oddly enough, the Democrats voted her down.
Not just the Democrats, but one in particular.
Oh, geez.
Mr. Joe Biden. That's
Joe
a no
Biden.
for me, Biden boy.
Pelosi.
Oh, oops.
So is it really about a black woman making it to the Supreme Court? Because she sounds like an idiot.
You know, and it's so sad because you know damn well she's smart. You
Yeah.
know, like you don't get to that point, you know, in this point of your life being even considered or in the conversation if you're not smart and have done things that have highlighted your level of intelligence and your ability to work through issues, right?
Unless your
You don't
name's
end
Kamala
up
Harris.
there. Correct. Unless you blow someone.
Yeah.
So she did not. So she's actually, you know, Harvard law, and she's actually really smart. And then just
Right.
but that pressure, I think the political pressure and the gotcha moments, you know what I mean? The like I gotta trick you into saying something, and then they trip up, and now she's a walking meme. I mean, that's gonna be like 2022. Are you voting for a woman? I don't know. Don't ask the Supreme Court justice. She doesn't know if you're a woman.
You're right. Or are you going to make jokes about another man's wife?
Oh, man, we got to talk about the slap heard around the world.
I really don't even want to talk about it because it's so dumb, but I feel like we should.
Well, I just wanted to say that this show is actually being sponsored by an upcoming movie, G.I. Jane G.I. Jane 2, which is not in production yet, but it should be. And hey, Will, it might be starring Jada Smith. Who knows? She'd be perfect.
So do you think that this was scripted at all, or was it 100% real?
Look, here's the thing. We're not going to ever know if it's scripted. That's a fact. There's never I heard someone talking about this and I thought it was pretty great. It's kind of like, you know, wrestling. We all know wrestling's fake, right? Like it's scripted out. They have
what we do.
But then when the yeah, exactly, Chad. See, that's how this works on you, man.
Is Santa real?
Magic. I mean, my kid's within earshot, dude. What are you trying to get me busted? I am Santa Claus. No. Give her the Vader. No, I am Santa Claus. Anyway. But no, like I heard somebody say that like it's kind of like wrestling. Like these people, they get into character and they stay in character. And it doesn't matter that even though we all know it's not real, it's not fake, but if they go on a TV show or whatever, you know, I feel that that's a lot what's happening here. That this was talked about as a way, honestly, as a way to like get interest back into the Oscars because it was the second lowest rated Oscars of all time.
But how is that going to help you want to watch the Oscars next year? Are you waiting for somebody else to be bitch slapped on stage too?
Well, you heard who's hosting next year, right?
Oh, whoa, Mike Tyson?
Mike Tyson.
Hit him and see what happens, right?
To. Let's see who the Oscar goes to.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You don't just do a great Trump, you do a pretty good Tyson, right?
Yeah. I can do Trump having a conversation with Tyson. That would be hilarious.
If you can go back and forth between those two.
What did you say to me when you come over here and say that to me? Well, I'll tell you. Everybody knows that I can take Mike Tyson in a fight.
By the way, I think we have there he is, our special
there's attack helicopter
guest here coming in with a hot one.
Take cover.
All right,
Mr.
so
Producer.
I have a very spicy take
this.
on this. So okay, because here's the thing. So either way, so the whole thing that started this slap to begin with was comedy, right? It was a joke. It was a joke that was targeted at Will Smith's wife, right? Okay. Right. I can end this entire argument, period. In comedy, absolutely nothing is sacred in comedy. So getting upset at a joke when a lot of other people in the audience were being roasted, and then on top of that, going up there and basically on global television committing a felony. I'm like, what? Over a joke. I'm blown away by that. And, here's the thing. As far as is it being a publicity stunt? It definitely could be a publicity stunt. If you look at that slap, I'm not saying it wasn't real, but I'm not saying it was real. Like, it looks very
I'm
iffy.
not saying he didn't brace himself. I'm not saying he didn't start to turn his head. I'm not saying he wasn't smirking when Will Smith walked up there. I'm not saying the lady behind Will Smith at the same table wasn't at all surprised by him yelling.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any of that.
Well, on top of that, too, he was laughing at the joke when it was told. Like, if you look at the video, Will Smith was laughing. He thought it was hilarious. And even Jada
100%.
was smiling. I'm like, guys, come on. If you're gonna, come on now.
She was smiling because she knew somebody was about to get their ass beat.
Probably. But here's the thing. I was reading some comments on Reddit about this. And now Reddit, hive mind, so take this with a bit of a grain of salt here. But a lot of people were
At least
saying...
you're honest.
Well, yeah, I know what Reddit is. But, a lot of people were saying that Jada herself is actually just kind of a bit of a controlling bitch, which is interesting because some people say that what could have happened there is basically she whispered in Will Smith's ear and was like, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let him talk about me that way? And basically got him all riled up for no reason. That was another theory that I heard about this. And I'm like, why does it matter? It's comedy. Nothing is sacred.
Do you think she whispered in his ear, entanglement?
You're about to have another entanglement.
And he was like, hell no.
Hell I am.
She's like, you want to sleep in the doghouse? Because we can make that happen.
Dude, that's the thing that's so bizarre about this whole thing is like, you're getting mad about a hair joke when it's publicly known you were humiliated by this woman that now you're going to be the white knight. Now you're going to be the man coming to the rescue after dude after dude has train rid her. So,
Chris, I hate to interrupt you. He's not a white knight. He's a black knight. We need to make sure we're identifying him properly. I'm so sorry here.
How do we even know he's a knight and not, what is the female version of a knight?
A knight.
Oh. Maybe he's a trans knight.
Oh yeah, you might be right. You never know. We got to make sure we're identifying people properly here, Chris, because it's so important.
Chris. I wouldn't know. I'm not a medieval specialist. But for real though, this is going to be talked about for a while. I don't think we're ever going to know the real answer. I think the fact that Chris Rock is not pressing charges, is one of two things. Either he's like, yeah, I don't want this to continue or escalate any further. I don't need to keep going through this. We just need to brush this under the rug. But dude, let's think about this from this standpoint, Chad. And let me ask you this. What if that was Sean Penn who jumped up on the stage and walked right up to Chris Rock and belted him?
Well, he's ultra liberal, but it's for the fact that he's white. Yep. It would have been a white man hitting a black man, right?
That would have been.
They probably would have done that anyway because they're trying to cancel everybody. They don't care.
Isn't this the first time that the media is actually reporting on black crime?
Jeez. Yikes.
I don't know. I'm not a news reporter.
Oof.
I don't know. I'm not a news reporter. I don't know.
I actually saw
that.
So here's the thing that I found interesting too is usually something like this is a distraction. It's a distraction from something that's actually going on in the world around us. And I saw this meme and it was very true telling. And it says, hey, did you hear a few billionaires had a tiff at the golden statue ceremony they hold every year where the rest of us struggle to afford food and shelter? And on top of that, over the weekend, Oscar weekend, Congress, I don't know all the details of it, so if I'm quoting this completely wrong, sorry, but I know that the general gist of it is the Congress just passed a bill to eliminate, supplementary student lunches. So kids who go to school whose parents may not be able to afford food for them are now no longer going to be able to get food because of that being eliminated.
Ooh, I'd like to look into that. I find that shocking.
I'll do some research real quick on it, but yeah, that's what I was hearing about this. It's always a distraction.
Or maybe they want to stop talking about the fact that Leah Thomas, who has a penis, wins a D1 swimming title, who's also known as Will Thomas, who is a man.
Can you imagine if like one of the other girls who are swimming in that, one of their dads walked over and just belted Leah Thomas in the face? You're insulting my daughter.
I mean, what's wild about this is, all this women, man stuff and trannies and whatever else. Wasn't it that, who is she? She's like the assistant health secretary who is a man and is also seemingly very unhealthy, is nominated for the Times Person of the Year, right? Something like that.
Whatever.
So it's twice now in 7 years, that a man has been nominated and one time won the Times Person of the Year award. I mean, isn't this like feminists confirming by their point of view that men are superior?
Yeah, 100%. And here's my real question, and it's either for you or Attack Helicopter. I don't care. Whoever wants to answer this. But please tell me how, if you're for women's rights, how is letting someone who identifies as a woman compete, how does that help women's rights?
Right. How does it help women's rights if we're saying that by proxy that there's not enough good women in this world that we have to nominate a man to win the award?
I'm still waiting for LeBron to join the WNBA and score 50 points a quarter and watch everybody go nuts.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know because I'm not a sportscaster.
I wouldn't know. I don't work for ESPN.
So here's another article I stumbled upon here. It's an old article. It's 5 years old now, almost. But this stuff's been going around for a while. Is this not the gayest thing you've read today? So this is an article about straight men and bromances. They're not together. They're not like, they just kiss, cuddle, and stand around naked together. Not anywhere in my life have I ever been like, hey, Dayton, you want to just come over? They'll just cuddle a little bit. I'm going to take a shower. You want to just walk around naked the house after? Like, is that even a thing?
I can't even, man.
Maybe
think
we'll
about all the guys
beers
at like the stakeout next year. Like, hey, stakeout 2022. We're going to get together. Here's what I'm talking about. It's going to be a nice evening. We're going to have some bottles of mustard, a 9-iron, a poodle. We're going to get in here. We're going to listen to some talk radio. It's going to be a nice evening.
We're going to listen to the Building Whalls podcast. So
here's what I'm talking about.
Listen to this. Part of this article. This blows my
Rub
mind.
your dicks on the car as you run by.
I feel like they're making this stuff up. They said that cuddling, hugging, and sex jokes were a core part of a romantic friendship. Cuddling, hugging, and sex jokes. Okay, I see the sex jokes. I mean, maybe I give you a hug, but I'm not cuddling with you.
When we meet, like I just saw you. You were just here in Michigan.
Yeah.
And when I saw you, I walked up. You give the bro hug, like the handshake, the bringing in for the real thing, the pat on the back. But it's not like I'm gonna give you a peck on the cheek and be like, "Hey, bro, let's get." You look a little constricted in those jeans, man. You want to lose those or what?
You looking mighty tight in them jeans, boy.
Yeah, boy. Look, Mark, even in jeans.
Dude, listen to
Hey, that's
another
some
part
that's
of
some
this.
comedy that just doesn't fly today.
Yeah. Listen to this. It's talking about some study that they did here, and all 29 of the 30 men who took part, they said they had cuddled their romantic partner. Get out of here!
Dude,
I don't know
are we
one
bros?
dude who does this.
Dude, are we bros? We're like seriously bros, right?
Well, we need to cuddle then in order for this to be true.
Seriously, I'm getting on a plane right now.
Yeah, come on over, boy.
That's it. I'm coming.
This stuff's crazy. Like, doesn't this sound like a made-up article?
Like most of our existence today.
Just made up.
I don't know, man. I just think that we live in such a clown world. Yeah, it's just there's not much we can do about it. But I will tell you this.
Here it goes.
We do have the Building Walls podcast, and we do have the best,
Which most of this stuff's
segments.
made up too, but that's okay.
but it's my favorite segment, and it's the weekly rant.
The weekly rant. So something that hit me the other day, besides Will Smith's slap to the face, was that we need to change our vocabulary. And it's a psychological thing why we say certain things. Like when people say that they're forced to take the vaccine. No one is forced to take the vaccine. No one has been held at gunpoint, as far as I know, unless Fauci's out there being a thug. You know, no one has been held down on an operating room table and given the jab. And I mean, I say that with like complete empathy because I know where it comes from. There's people out there, there's athletes out there that if they didn't take the vaccine, they couldn't compete. If you didn't take the vaccine, you couldn't show up to your job tomorrow. That's a big issue. So I get why people say that they are forced. It's because the opposite consequence of this is so extreme that do you really have a choice in the matter? Do you really have a choice if you're going to lose your job? Because how are you going to feed your family the next day? But no one wants to talk about that. They're forced to do something they don't want to do because the opposite consequences, how are you going to feed your family? How are you going to look at your kid in the face and say, sorry, we have to move? How come, Daddy? How come, Mommy? Well, I got fired. Why? Because I didn't take a vaccine. But those are real questions that people run into. And that's why we say that we're forced. You know, thankfully, I was never in that position. And I think a lot of people were not, which is great. But it's almost like, how do you come out of that? Because in order for that person who's forced to take the vaccine to come out of it, I mean, this is where things like the church need to get involved, where a group of friends or maybe your romantic partner needs to get involved. I can't say that shit without laughing, right? Maybe they need to get involved to help through this, to help fight back against this stuff. Man, I didn't think I was going to make me laugh so hard. But here's the thing. November's coming up. Midterm elections are coming up. The way that we avoid these situations is in the voting booth. And that's why it's so important to have voting integrity. Because we don't have any integrity there. What do we have integrity in? Right? We need to get out there in November, vote, turn it red. Both chambers of Congress. Wouldn't that be great? Both chambers. Take over all of it. Which is wild why the Democrats are trying to push what's her name in there. Because Stephen Breyer's not even quitting. He's not even resigning from his spot. But they're trying to get it confirmed before. It's crazy. Clown world, as you always say. It's a clown
world. It's the circus we're living in.
I do hope you like my wholesome story here.
Yeah, dude. Nice rant. Well done. Great points. and you're 100% accurate on the result is you gotta vote. We gotta vote. You gotta get people out to vote. The consequences of not voting now are too high. Because if you're indifferent to the fact that you're going to pay $7 for a gallon of gas, or you're indifferent to the fact that your mortgages are going to cost an unbelievable amount of money, and you're indifferent, if you're just not willing to go vote, then because we actually need an entire census vote. Everybody has to cast their vote on this one. We can't just have people be like, yeah, whatever. Whatever happens doesn't matter. Wrong. It matters. So you're on it, dude.
Yeah, I'd like to not be paying $7 a gallon as well. I went and filled up my truck today. $92 worth of gas. Mm-hmm. It hurt.
I mean, I drove to Michigan and back a week ago from Connecticut. 10-hour trip on a straight shot, maybe 11 hours, cost me $200 in gas one way.
Wow.
One way. That's a $400 trip just to drive. After I got done, I was like, hell, I should have just flew. But we got a wholesome story here. All the best women are men. Congrats, if that's what you want to say, to Leah Thomas here. She looks twice as big as each of those other women. Twice as big.
Is that to scale? I mean, I feel like she's like blown up. Is that really that big?
It looks like she is blown up.
I mean, I'm just curious.
I don't know.
Is it distorted? Do we know if that's because that picture looks stupid?
If it's not, how stupid do you have to be to look at that and say, oh, no, there's no difference. There's no difference. I mean, it's biological fact that men on average are bigger. Men on average have more muscle tone, which leads to bigger bone structures, which means you could probably do physical activity better. Thus, why the NBA looks like the NBA and the WNBA looks like the WNBA. Just like why players in the NFL look like they do, and players in the lingerie football league look like they do.
I'm playing in the lingerie bowl. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, can we do that? Can we say we're women? Get drafted?
Yep, and then I guarantee you, I'm gonna go join the lingerie bowl, and then I'm gonna have a bromance with one of them and see if we want to just get around and.
If you want, I will wear lingerie to the show next week.
Are you trying to have a bromance with him?
Maybe. Don't assume. Excuse you.
I love myself some attack helicopter. One of my favorite people on the planet, for sure.
Yeah, so we'll get some Arby's boneless wings, which I finally had the privilege of trying. Oh over the weekend.
You did. How was that?
So excited. You did. Nice.
So excited.
Let's get your review.
Yeah,
it was B-dubs with shitty sauce. There you go.
Yeah,
and the ranch wasn't as good either.
That I have to agree with. I have to agree with that.
What's the deal with Arby's ranch? Like, how do you mess up ranch?
So thick?
It's ranch. I like thick ranch, though. To be fair, I like very thick ranch because I prefer it more
thick. Huh?
I do.
Be perfect for a bromance.
Yeah. Have I got good news for you, buddy boy?
Eat you a couple more wings, and I'll love it.
I feel like the bromance jokes are never gonna get old.
Never,
dude. Not a chance. Not a chance. But you're right, though. All the best women are men. So,
congratulations to feminism for winning the stupid award.
So progressive. I feel so progressed. Do you feel progressed? I do.
We're just taking leaps and bounds forward in society that men can now be women and vice versa.
So, you know what, Chad? I can't even handle it anymore. The level of stupidity that we have regarding this topic is asinine. Why are people confusing acceptance with tolerance? I could be tolerant of somebody who wants to identify however they want to identify, but why do I have to accept you into a sporting event that you shouldn't be in? I don't understand it. Why is that such a confusing topic for people?
It's the same thing that I'm sure you'll have something about this, but it just strikes in my head a thought that I always hear people, they reference the Bible, right? They say, honor thy mother and father. And they totally take it out of context. I'm totally going the other way with this. But it drives me crazy the way people take stuff out of context, right?
I'm gonna die, man. You're killing me already,
dude. But for real, honor thy mother and father doesn't mean you have to adhere to every word that comes out of their mouth. If your parents tell you to put a gun to your head and pull the trigger, are you going to do it because you're honoring them?
Nope. I can honor you from afar. That's what I've always said.
Right. Exactly. Just like this, right? We don't have to accept it or be tolerant of it or whatever you want to say, right?
Right.
Oh, well, I mean, they can do whatever they want to do, right? To be tolerant of their own choices. But we don't have to accept it into society and say that that's now fact.
Yeah, I don't accept
it
the
be
fact
so.
that that's a valid sporting event. Like if you let a biological male swim in that race, to me, the whole thing is null and void because it's now not a real race. Okay, you don't have true scores. You don't have a real ranking. You have just stupidity on display is what you have.
Now, what about, I feel like we're about to get into Chris's corner, but I got one for you with this topic first.
Let's go. Okay.
I was reading something from someone that was saying, well, Leah Thomas didn't win every event, so she's not unbeatable.
Okay. So I guess that makes it okay to continue the war on women.
Right? It's like the left is so good with just picking out that one thing. Right? Like, hey.
The Ukraine, they won one battle. So I guess it's all good. We can just keep rolling with Russia kicking their butt.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's like, well, we should allow abortion because of rape. That's less than 1% of cases. But they're so
1%.
good at nitpicking that and saying that, well, she didn't win them all. Well, no, but she took the spot of a woman who has a vagina. Do you remember that? What was that movie, Kindergarten Cop, with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
And he says something in the classroom, and the little boy goes, boys have penises and girls have vaginas.
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
Yeah. But with that said,
it's not a tumor.
Let's get into it. I feel like this is going to be a fiery one. See how I'm heated up over there? It probably is.
Very patriotic.
So nonchalant. Our patriot, Commander Dayton. Let me ask you this, Commander Dayton. Is Disney coming for our kids? Or has this just been something that's been going on all along?
You know what? Disney is plagued by the top end leadership has succumbed to what they consider the progressive movement. The reality of that is they're making more and more movies and they're sliding things in. It's a slow agenda. It's a I mean, I don't even know. It's definitely becoming more and more evident for any of us like seeing what's going on. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
do you think that what Disney's doing is trying to get rid of the nuclear family, trying to break up society, or are they just along for the ride?
Have you looked at back like their catalog of movies? Like every time, like the parents are dead or it's a single family, raising kids. I mean, think about it. Start with The Little Mermaid in the early 90s. Where's mom? She's nowhere. Oh, where's dad? He's the overbearing father who doesn't want his 15-year-old to run off and get married. Okay. That's a terrible message. How about the fact Aladdin? Aladdin, where's a single father raising his daughter, and she doesn't want to conform to the rule of the land, and got to marry this street rat. How
But I
about
mean,
Lion King?
he can show
Lion
the
King,
world.
the dad dies. Mufasa bites it. Uncle Scar takes him out. It's a little, you go back, you watch Lion King, you're like, hey, thank God I was a teenager when this came out, because if I was a little kid, I'd be messed up. Right? But you go all through all these history, Brave, and even like Frozen. Frozen 2, the parents die in a shipwreck and all that other stuff, right? So I do think that they are definitely have a strong platform, and I think that they can they could do so much better. But honestly, I just think that they have people who have infiltrated the top end of that company and are really pushing the progressive narrative.
So I'm trying to. You were a little mild there. I'm hoping I can get a little more out of you. Like I want to hear the.
Well, I feel like I'm in a
F-bombs
wind
over
tunnel, right? I feel like I'm in a wind tunnel right
Yeah,
now.
I don't know what that
I don't know
background
if,
noise is.
I think Matt's typing something or hammering, or somebody's like got something going on.
All right.
Kinda
So
crazy.
my second question to you: should we just cancel the Oscars?
I mean, no, I don't think they should. I just don't think they should televise it anymore. You know why? Because like I work in real estate, and we have award shows, and do award ceremonies for people in real estate. Are those on TV? No. Have you seen, like, I'm sure that in your industry, the automotive world, there's awards. There's
Right.
a lot going on, but why do we have to be subjected to Hollywood? Why is it that they get to publicize and do all this stuff? Like, who cares? Who cares?
Right.
So, in my opinion, they can do them, but I also think the numbers are there too. That the fact of the matter was, well, I mean, I guess I just say this, and I'm going to leave it at that. Should we cancel the Oscars? Yes, we should. From us having to be watching it, because nobody cares. The lowest rated, second lowest rated ever. The numbers are in, the statistics. It doesn't even matter anymore. Like, why the younger generation, who cares? They don't care. And it's about high time too. I don't know how we as a society even got to the place where people are, I don't know, caring with somebody who did something on screen. And honestly, when I said that, here was my thought that just went through my head. You know why? Because back in the day, it used to mean something to be on video. It used to be cool. Like, oh my God, I can see myself. Well, look at us right now. I can watch this back. This gets published out to the entire country. The entire world can listen to our podcast. So it's not really that big of a deal anymore.
I have to think
and some people might like, I was going to say, some people might like what we have to say, but some people don't. And who cares? We're not going to give ourselves an Oscar.
Right. And I agree. Like, I think we should, in my opinion, cancel the Oscars, because the thing is the Oscars used to be a celebration of art. That's what it used to be. Half of the stuff, because I've done it, where I've sat and watched all the nominated films, the nominated short films. Some of them I agree with. There are times when I'm like, why the hell did this win? This wasn't that good of a movie to win an Oscar. And it's gotten to this point now where it feels like the Oscars is, one, as proven by this last weekend, a distraction and kind of pointless. And two, it's just pushing an agenda. That's it. If you want to have an award show, I'm down with an award show, but make it then user-voted stuff. And give people nominations. Say, hey, here's foreign films. Go vote on foreign films. You know what I mean? And make that more of a public thing. Why is it so private? Same thing with even restaurant reviews. I get so sick and tired of seeing restaurant reviews from food critics. What a fucking... prissy ass title. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? A food critic? Come on. That's so dumb. And you get paid to write this? Yeah, okay. Get out of here. You are completely worthless to society. As I mentioned before, as far as people, it's funny, we hold celebrities up on a pedestal, right?
It's self-evident.
Right?
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
We used to look at people who were entertainers and they were the jesters. They were the lowest of the low on the totem pole. They were not important to society. And now we sit up here and we glorify them like they're amazing. You're here for our entertainment. Sit down, shut up. If you want a quick little award to congratulate you on how good of a job you were at entertaining, great. Otherwise, sit down. No one wants to hear your political opinions. No one wants to hear your societal opinions. Shut up and be entertaining. Otherwise, I don't want to see you.
That was borderline Ricky Gervais right there. Like, can you imagine if he hosted the Oscars? That would be awesome.
Jeez. And don't
Could you
get me
imagine
wrong,
how much
I love
better
film.
it would be if you could have a bromance with your boy? Watching it?
When and where, Chad?
Yeah.
When and where? Next year?
Let's go.
Let's all get together. We can all just lay around naked and watch it.
Let's do it. Like, here's the thing. I'm a huge
Look, I just got Austin. He's losing his shit. That's the greatest thing that's ever been said on the Building Walls podcast.
Just all lay around naked together.
Let's do it. Get a giant. You know what we could do? We could get one of those big old 100 foot by 100
Get
foot.
a giant chubber.
Yeah, you keep saying giant and big. I'm really scared of where this is going, man.
Chad's feeling a little bit intimidated over here with the word giant being thrown around every once in a while.
Facts, man.
But like, as someone
where
who
this is
loves film, I love film, right? I am super passionate about the arts, about film and television. I think it's a beautiful art form. Yes, I understand we need actors, we need actresses. They're important. Yes, don't get me wrong. But why do we worship them?
I don't know.
We don't need to.
I don't think we should.
It's a great question.
But it's funny because there was a study done. Yeah, hopefully. It's funny because there was a study done that showed, and the study concluded that there couldn't be a direct correlation. It couldn't say, okay, so the study basically said that people who hold celebrities on a pedestal and basically like worship their every move actually have a lower IQ than those who do not, which is funny. But then the study concluded with, we don't know if it's the worship of celebrities that causes low IQ or if low IQ causes the worship of celebrities. That was the conclusion of this study. And I was like, I can't even with this.
To be continued.
Wow. To follow up on that one.
Continued.
Right? I'll send you guys a video on it. It's pretty funny.
All right. So let's get back into it here. The Rooney Rule. You know what the Rooney Rule is, Dayton?
Yeah. In
Right,
NFL.
NFL teams had to hire X amount of minorities, whatever. So now it's expanded for the NFL teams to require, or the NFL is now going to require teams that they have to required hire an offensive minority assistant.
Yeah.
Is that good?
No.
Why?
No, I'll tell you why. Because you're hiring based on a characteristic that is not relevant to the job. That's why. And it doesn't matter if you're a Supreme Court justice nominee or you're an NFL coach. The fact that you're like literally based on the color of your skin is the dumbest thing on the planet. And the counter argument to that is, it's a good old boys club. If we don't have this, then there would never be any diversity in. And you know what? I fundamentally disagree. I just disagree because it's about money. You know what? And that's literally how black athletes broke into the NFL. Trust me, if they didn't want black people to play in the NFL or in that league, then that wouldn't happen. It would not happen. Period. And if you think otherwise, you're probably worshiping some celebrities. So what I would say is the fact of the matter is, if you own an NFL team and you want to win and you're competing, you put the best talent out there. White, black, brown, orange, yellow, green, doesn't matter. Put them out there. They're going to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball. They're going to catch the ball. They're going to tackle. They're going to win. And anytime that you start layering restrictions like this, you are watering down the game. That's what you're doing. So you shouldn't do it.
There it is. So, speaking of low IQ, did you
Good
see?
segue.
Did you see that video of Peter Ducey?
Oh yeah,
questioning Biden. So he points out 3 things that the Biden administration walked back on. So when you hear things like this, I mean, what does that make you think of our president, of what Russia sees, of what Ukraine sees? Biden calling him, saying he's silly. Was he wrong for asking that question?
No, he's not, because he quoted it back to him. It's not like he was making assertions. He said it sounded like you were calling for a regime change. It sounded like if a chemical weapon was used, you would respond in kind. It sounded like you were willing to put U.S. troops in this war by telling our troops, hey, you're going to see this up close and personal. Biden said those things. And so Peter Ducey, being a reporter, now here's the one thing that I cannot stand is reporters who get a president, whether it's Barack Obama, Trump, Bush, or even Biden, and they ask questions like, well, what are we going to do if they do this? You know what we're going to do? None of your damn business. This is not like Q&A to like, I'm sorry. Are we that dumb? Are you really that stupid that you think, oh, I'm going to ask the president and he's going to be like, yeah, here's our game plan. I got together with the generals the other day and I just want to let you know we're moving over all the weapons to the eastern flank. We think we're going to catch them off guard here if we go around, the southern border. And come on, what exactly are you hoping to get out of a question like that? Because if I was president, honestly, and maybe someday if I'm ever president and they come back and they play this clip and they say, well, remember when you said you were president? Yeah, play it over and over and over again. If I was president and someone asked me that, I would tell them to shut the fuck up. The end.
That was awesome. I'm glad to see you get a little riled up there at the end. That's my goal.
But dude, for real. Chad, how dumb? I mean, how dumb are we as
a
society?
That is a stupid question.
Whether it's Fox, whether it's CNN, whether it's MSNBC, all of these people are in this pool and they're asking questions like, we're not going to know the answers to that. In fact, you shouldn't even ask that. The fact that you even thought to ask that question might spur on something for your adversary to do that. And you're doing it in a public forum. Like, how dumb are we? It's either that, or quite frankly, we're so arrogant. We're so arrogant that we think we can do whatever. Well, you know who else was arrogant? Let's go back in time. How about a little 1776 action? Which side do you think was super arrogant? The side that lost.
I was just thinking, and that's a great point that you make. I hate those questions too, because what do you want to say? Or what do you want the president to say? So my question to you with that, as we wrap it up here, is, so why would the U.S. say when we're pulling out of Afghanistan?
Exactly. Another perfect example of like, what are we doing? And I think at that time, I even said, hey, here's how this conversation should go with the head of the Taliban. Hey, I'll leave when I'm ready. I'll leave the keys. You come in here before you are supposed to, you're going to die. Any questions? Okay.
Right. So it almost makes you think, why wasn't it handled the same? Because this is the same Biden administration. Why wasn't it handled the same then? It's like they wanted it to happen almost, It's weird. I don't know.
Why has the U.S. not had direct conversation with Russia, with Putin?
Why do they worship celebrities?
Why are you not on the phone every day going, why are you still doing this?
Is it the Kremlin that's holding it back? Do you know?
Why? Why isn't that Russia fears escalation with the United States? Why is it that we fear escalation with them?
It's funny because it was different a few years ago, right?
I'm just saying, their entire populace should have the same fear of like, if we keep doing this, we're going to make the United States angry and we might be wiped off the planet. We need to stop.
I feel like one of the biggest things, which is probably why people hated Trump, is because Trump would show his cards when he needed to. The conversation he had with Putin was most likely, hey, if you escalate this and go to war, we will cut off oil supply and we will start supplying all of the people who buy oil from you right now, and your economy will tank. So go ahead and do it. And that's, but if you're the Biden administration, you can't do that. Why? Because as soon as you got elected in office, day one, you signed a bill to cut off the, what is the pipeline called?
The Nord, or yeah. Well,
I know, I want to say the Nord Stream too, but
that's the one in Europe that they funded.
Right.
The Keystone XL.
Keystone XL. Day one, cut it off. Anwar, forget about Anwar. Like, so I heard on the radio earlier, we cut our oil production from 13 million barrels a day, I think, down to 2. So
great.
What did you think Russia was going to do? Russia, who we get like 30% of our oil from now, is saying, we don't really care. You get all this oil from us. You've been paying us now for the past year millions and millions of dollars. Then you have the Saudis. Like, yeah, I mean, we can't just magically bring oil out of thin air. We have to produce it. We can't double production because you want us to. And along with that, they have fights with their own, with Yemen, who does not like the U.S., and a number of other countries out there who want to kill everyone in the U.S. So that's who you're going to now as your supply. Yet we have oil in our country.
What are they chanting? Death to America, but it's mostly peaceful.
Yeah. I'm sure those guys are just.
And now in celebrity news,
I'm sure they're just, all the Muslims over there just having a bromance with each other, walking outside in the desert. It's a little warm. So what a great spot to walk around naked with each other.
Yes. Would you like to see my llama? Come over here. I'll give you some chicken shawarma.
Jeez.
Oh, man.
I love a good chicken shawarma.
I do too, man. Really good. With pickles, nothing better.
Oh, man. All right. So
for real, this one's off the rails. And I keep cracking up because you brought this bromance part. I didn't see that in the show notes.
Oh, you did?
I'm going to tell you, dude, that is one of the funniest things ever. Is that article that you brought up? That might be the highlight of the Building Walls podcast so far.
It's a great article.
And,
good read.
I can't stop laughing.
It's about a 3-minute read. Knock it out with your morning coffee. So let's get on to the wrap up topic here. We were talking about this the other day. But what dollar amount do you think is sufficient for someone? Like, where do you think the cap is of a job before you have to move in a C-suite role or an executive role? And outside of certain sales roles, because we know medical equipment sales, high.
Right.
Doctors, lawyers, people like that can make a really good income outside of the norm.
Do we know what the median salary is for the United States? Can someone look that up?
I think the median household income is around like 50 to 55,000.
Is that, that's household or is that salary?
Household.
Ooh, wow. Really?
Median household.
The median average salary, I'm looking at just salary, but it is $43,051 right now.
43,000. So that is not exactly a lot of money.
Yeah. So hold on a second. I guess
$3,500 a month.
I want to play it while I'm asking the question, because I feel like a lot of people, they want to.
Oh, I was wrong. Sorry. It's actually $34,000. My bad. $34,248.
What's that according to?
Policyadvice.net.
Okay. So a lot of people want to move into a role or they want to get paid more, right? But there's really only so much money you can make in the marketplace unless you're in a certain niche. And a lot of people, they get antsy, right? Like I want to make some more money, but your job's only going to pay you so much. So like, what do you think that number is where people cap out at?
Where they're happy at, or where they like
Like a job is like the average job is not going to pay you more than this unless you move into a C-suite role, an executive role.
I'd say if you're pretty good at what you do and you're in, I would say a target is probably around 75,000 a year.
Yeah, I think that's
Because I would make the argument that if you're making about that much money, you can pretty much right now you could probably have a pretty decent, shelter. You could have a decent house. You can have a vehicle. You can repair the vehicle if it has problems. You might not be able to move it too much anymore, without fuel costs going up. But by and large, you'd be able to take a vacation, at 70 grand a year. Right?
yeah,
Do you agree?
which makes sense. That's about double what Mr. Producer said was the average salary, so that makes sense. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that
So if you take the average person and they doubled, if
right,
they would be elated, right? I think that's where
exactly.
their happiness would be. Like they would feel like they could do the things that they want to do.
I
Mhm.
could speak into that for sure. Coming from someone who to make above median, I have to work 2 jobs
Right. So
in a very
I'm not
specialized
saying
field,
that
no
you're not.
less. No, I'm not like I'm
You're
not. I'm
what,
just
24 years old, right?
that's true. I am. Yeah,
Right, 24 years old. So this is, I mean, think about the people who have this conversation who are 48 years old.
and I feel
Yeah,
bad for those
my age.
people. That's rough.
Right, I do to a certain point. I don't know all those people, so I can't speak to their life, where they're at, where they came from. But oftentimes, what I hear is people want to get paid more just because they don't want to assume more risk. They don't want to assume more responsibility. They want to work the same exact job and get paid more, which is just a totally whack way of thinking, especially if you hit that cap. If you hit somewhere, 70, 80, I mean, I would even argue maybe it's a little higher, 80,000, which is based off of zero science or evidence. It's just my
Just your feel,
just my
just your
anecdotal
gut.
thought. Yeah. But it's tough to get paid more than that just because of you're working a job. I mean, you made a great point when we were talking about this the other day, how this leads into the cash flow quadrant. It's almost like that is the perfect example of income potential.
Yeah, well, I mean, like most everybody starts, whether you're, 16, 17, 18, 24, 25, 26, you're you're in that place where you're trading your time for your money. Like I go to work, I get paid, right? It's, I mean, as long as you have the ability to trade your time for money, you can always opt to do that. And that's what kind of gets you started. But what happens is people then spend, um, they don't take the little bit that they have extra, whether it's $10, $20, $100, $500, whatever it is, they don't take that, and they end up losing it. They lose it to inflation. They lose it to just theft. They lose it to other mans, and then
McDonald's,
it's no, yeah. Then they make bad
TV.
choices, or they buy things that they don't need. And what happens is, they never really move over from the left to the right side of how income is made. You got to take that money and you have to get it into the spot where money is making money for you. And the problem is, we live in a microwave society where everybody wants everything like right now. They want to say, Chad, hey, I gave you $1,000 and I want 1,100 next month. Well, no, that's not really how that works. And then they go, well, I need that $1,000. Well, no, you need to invest that $1,000, and then the next month you need to invest another $1,000, and so on and so on. And you need to build that up. And there is a break point that you can get to. And when that happens, I think that's when true happiness is going to set in for a lot of people who figure that out. If you ask them, I think that's where it is when their income isn't based on their time. And they're able to do the things they want to do, and they don't have to rely on trading their time anymore. So if you had monthly bills of $5,000 a month between your mortgage, food, savings, things how you want to live your life, your household, right? But you had investments and opportunities that created $5,000 worth of income every month, whether you did anything. I think that'd be pretty good. I think a lot of people would be pretty excited about that. The problem is they don't wait. They're not patient. Things happen in the market. Markets go up, markets go down. When the market goes down, they pull out, and freak out and take their money. They take the loss. And then they go, oh, I need to put it back in, but then it's gone up, and you just can't sell. You just got to sit and ride it and just.
Right. You got to sell high and buy low, which is what all the millionaires do and billionaires.
Actually, you never sell. You just borrow against your asset.
That's how.
There's another way to do it.
Here's one thing I will say. So I want to I want to pose this question. So okay, we're talking about wages and what have you. So do you think that every year, and my personal opinion is I believe this is how, at least at bare minimum, people should be treated at every single job, is you should get a cost of living increase every year plus 1%. At least. And so the reason why that is obviously cost of living gets more expensive. I mean, we look at just this last year, it was almost 6% was cost of living increase. Again, it's different based on where you live, obviously. And if you're in California, it was probably closer to 10%, let's be honest, because nothing in California is affordable. But across the U.S. as a whole, it was about 6%. It was 5.9%. It was about 6%. And then you get about a 1% increase on top of that. So you would get basically a 7% raise in the last year, roughly. What would your thoughts be on something like that?
It's not sustainable. In fact, here's the real problem. And here's what you really got to think about. In the last 4 years, what have we heard being hammered on the wage front? We need a minimum standard wage. We need $15 an hour, right? Matt,
right.
You agree? You agree?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm just making sure that everybody knows that has been the rhetoric. That's been the torch that's been blazing, and they want to raise to $15 an hour. Well, the problem is, and what Chad, you were saying is what I think you were saying is, well, these people didn't do anything differently. So just take a McDonald's worker as an example. You're working at a fast food restaurant, so you have some basic rudimentary skills that you can serve a product that people are going to come in and buy. And that pays, at the time, that paid $8.50 an hour. People go, I can't live off of that. It was never meant to be a livable wage. It's not designed for that. The business model doesn't support, careers. It's not a career. It's just a job. It's something you're supposed to go do something else. The problem is when you change that to $15 an hour, now the person who is making, the people who were making $15 an hour before, those were like EMT people, service workers, all the people who are making $15 an hour now, they're not going to stand by and be like, look, I actually know I have real skills. I'm not going to get paid $15 an hour anymore. Now I need to be paid $30. Why? Because you went from 8 to 15, which is almost 100% increase. Those people making 15 ratio wise need to be up to 30. Well, somebody who's making $30 an hour as a dietitian or a nurse, or, somebody who's like, hey, I'm saving lives. I'm now not, I'm not flipping burgers here. And I need to make $50 to $60 an hour. And you can see quickly how the line items on your balance sheet can get out of whack when your employee cost starts skyrocketing. Well, in America, we have that pass along. So you look at your overhead. If you have a cost of an employee, that employee has to have an ROI on it. So you're going to raise the prices of your product or service that's going
Oh, sure.
accordingly, scalable. And now what happens to the person who's making $15 an hour? They say things like, "This isn't enough money to live on." And it starts the cycle all over again because rent went up for them. Rent went from $800 to $1,200. Milk went from $2 a gallon to $4 a gallon. Gasoline went from $2 a gallon to $5 a gallon. They can't afford to drive to work anymore. Cars went up. Everything goes up. It's reactionary, and it's a cycle that these people don't seem to understand how our economy works, which is why they preach those things like, hey, we need to have this minimum wage.
Yeah. See, I think there's almost I agree with everything you said there. And there's like two sides to it. Is the one side is because the question that you pose, should employers do that? If you're a good employee and you're giving them 7% in gains every year, well then yeah, if they're growing their business leaps and bounds and they want to keep you as an employee, hell yeah, I would give someone a raise. And then the flip side of that is the fact that we have this conversation, and I am no economist, but the fact we have this conversation is all it's all artificial. The reason cost of living goes up is because everything artificially increases, whether it's from inflation or whatever other tool that the government comes up with to, they increase taxes, they increase tariffs, they cause inflation by printing money. And it's almost like the fact that we have to have this conversation, it's all based on a very artificial understanding of how government affects the economy. Because
Sure.
if you're in a good role and you're at a company and you're hammering it out for that company every year, chances are they're not going to give you a raise, they're going to give you a promotion. And you're going to get paid more for that additional role that you've taken on and have benefited the company.
I'm just going to throw one last thing in here. That's true, Chad. That's 100% true what you said. The only caveat to that is there someone else who is your equal in that role that will do it for cheaper?
That's true.
Because like if you and I are applying for the same position, right? And they go, "Oh, well, Chris has the same level of experience as Chad does. We're the same. We've got whatever we're getting an interview to be a podcast person, right? We got the same amount of experience." They're going to look at you and they're going to go, "He's 10 years younger, so we can keep him longer, for our life cycle of our company before Chris is going to retire before Chad does. So we're going to be able to get 10 more years of productivity out of Chad." And then Chad also says, "Hey, I'm also willing to do it for a little bit less. I'll take 80,000 where Chris wants 100,000. Who are they hiring?
Right, for sure. So, I mean, that person has to be able to give that value to the company, right?
Correct.
Or find
so they're going to hire you, and they're going to put you in that role. And then I'm going to come back a year later and say, I've still got the same skill set. I can still do what Chad can do, but I'm willing to do it for less. I'm willing to do it for 75,000 because I need a job now. Right. And Chad goes, "Yeah, but I've been here. I'm with you guys. In fact, I crushed it. I want a raise. I actually want 90,000 now." So what are they going to do? Are they going to stay loyal to the guy who's been with them for the year and give Chad the raise to 90, or are they going to hire the new guy who can do the exact same job and they're going to put him in at 75? Go ahead, I'll wait.
Right.
Cue up the Jeopardy music if you're confused.
Yeah, and that's perfect to what we're saying about how Matt posed the question, which is, should they give you a 7% raise? If you want to work for a loyal company, you want them to be loyal to you. They want to actually help enrich people's lives in an appropriate manner that is congruent with their performance, with all those things, right? Then yeah, they will. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to brass tacks, this is the issue that I think a lot of publicly traded companies have, is
Correct.
the most important figure. Issue. Yeah, the most important figure at the end of the year is what? The bottom line.
Profitability. Yeah, right. Profitability.
So typically a lot of these companies, as they go year over year, are so good at cutting costs, manufacturing costs, cost of goods and services, all that stuff, that there's only one other thing that they can cut, and that's wages. So they either cut the labor force,
layoffs.
Right. They either cut the labor force, or they cut wages, or they increase the price of goods.
Correct. And it's usually some combination thereof of all of them.
Well, and like, here's the thing too that I guess is kind of made me really question a lot of things in the last year is, we just went through a pandemic, right? And we forced a bunch of people, told them couldn't work, right? I mean, we all know that happened. Told a bunch of people couldn't work, even told businesses you can't work, right? But yet we see a bunch of, especially in the publicly traded sector or public company sector, and even in private, if you look at the medical industry and what have you, we saw CEOs getting larger bonuses than they've ever gotten before. Ever. They have never gotten larger bonuses. And then you see people who are being told you can't go to work, or mom and pop shops, you can't be open. Right? The small guys, you can't be open. And then, what are we supposed to do with that? When you have corporations who are like, oh, hey, our CEO gets, for example, you look at the CEO of Kohl's, who I think is a complete jack off, by the way, because they've not been they've been barely hanging on for a few years. I mean, they're holding on, which is great, but I don't know how long Kohl's will last in the long run, because I don't know if they've really done anything to maintain relevancy in the era of online shopping. I don't know if they've really done that. They have a couple of things that do pretty well with that, but you see people got COVID bonuses. CEOs got COVID bonuses. And it's like, why do they get COVID bonuses for how they performed during a pandemic, when in reality they didn't do much more than just say, yeah, we're just going to implement some COVID safety measures and that's about it. When you've got people who were still working, for example, at Kohl's, because I have friends who work there, who had to continue to work through the pandemic, did not get hazard pay, none of that. Even early on when, whatever we didn't know what was going on with it, nothing. And they didn't get, in the way that Kohl's worked it is, we will lay you off for 3 weeks so we don't have to give you unemployment and then bring you back in. Like, that's what they did. So they didn't have to pay anyone unemployment. And if you told them, hey, I tested positive for COVID, they didn't give you any pay while you were out, nothing. They just let you sit there and deal with it for 2 weeks.
Right. So
again, I'm not saying it's all the corporations.
Yeah.
It's not all the corporations. No. Don't get me wrong. It's a combination of a lot of factors with that.
What I would say is the first thing is a lot of those CEOs who do get those bonuses have a contract that says they'll get paid as such. So then they get paid as such. And people freak out and say, why the hell did they make so much money?
Oh, sure. I understand that. I'm not opposed to that.
Right.
Their contracts are contracts.
It's under the contract. My big thing with everything that you're saying, and it's not with what you're saying, but it's the reason why we were in these positions, is the goddamn government. So you have massive companies who profited heavily throughout COVID. Other companies who did not. A lot of those companies who profited so heavily give to Democratic campaigns. Why do you think Nancy Pelosi makes so much money trading stocks? It's not because she's smart. It's because they're all in bed with each other.
Insider trading.
Oh yeah.
It's all corrupt.
The problem is it's everybody. It's everybody lobbying. It's all the, again, I feel bad for the mom and pop shops who had to close up now. And where's all their business gonna go?
Because think
Amazon.
about
because
what the government
because
did.
the government, again, it is because of the government in that sense, where the government
Right,
said
so-
you have to shut down, you're not allowed to operate. But Amazon, Walmart, all these other companies, oh, you're allowed to stay open. But mom and pop shops who are grocery stores or general goods distributors, nope, you got to shut down. You can't be open. You can't work. That's
Right. So think about what the government mandate did. It said that if you own rental properties, you can't evict your tenant, and they don't have to pay you a monthly rent. We're making it law now, or executive order. Yet we're not going to pay you what they should have paid you. We're just saying that you can't collect, or else we'll come at you
oh yeah,
legally.
and that was ridiculous.
How does that
Unbelievable.
make any sense?
It's just there was so it was a lot of factors. I'm not just pointing it at the corporations. I'm not just there were a lot of factors there that really have screwed things up. And I think unfortunately we're in this position where you see all these companies are spending billions, let's be honest, billions of dollars a year lobbying for the things that they want, and you have companies who have to just deal with it. Because they can't.
Right.
You have mom and pop shops who. What are they going to do? A mom and pop shop doesn't have $500 million to go lobby to to aid them in what they want. But then you have companies where you want a great example of this. I heard this. I was listening to this guy talking about this situation, and they're developing a video platform app, right? And they want to distribute their app on the App Store, Android, and everything like that. And they want to process payments using Apple Pay, which is great, right? So you can pay for your subscriptions on Apple Pay, which is awesome. Well, then they basically were trying to make it, because Apple takes a larger cut of payments. Apple takes a very fair percentage. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against Apple taking their percentage for using their service, right? I mean, obviously, use someone's service, you got to pay to use their service. That makes complete sense. But when they basically said, oh, hey, we're going to, okay, well, if you want to use Apple Pay as an option to pay for our service, what we're going to do is we're just going to bump up the price for Apple Pay payers, specifically. So, you don't have to use Apple Pay, but if you want it for the convenience, because, again, I do believe people will pay for convenience, it'll be like $2 more, right, a month. Instead of being $5, it'll be $7 a month. And what's funny is they got pushback from Apple, and literally their app was removed from the App Store because they were charging $2 more to compensate for Apple's cut, which, again, I'm not against Apple taking a cut. But what's funny is they did some research, and all of the apps that are owned by big companies, so for example, we look at Twitch as a prime, was their main example, and they listed off a bunch of others, but Twitch was a prime one. If you go to pay for a subscription on Twitch, it costs you $2 more per month to pay for a subscription using Apple Pay on Twitch on an iPhone. And if you do it on the website, it's $5. It's $7 if you're on iOS. And Apple gives special favoritism to larger companies rather than the small mom and pop shops. That's, in my opinion, where we start getting into anti-competitive behavior. And that's where I start to question the morals and ethics of a company, is when we start to treat the big guys special because, they're the big guys, rather than allowing it to happen with everybody across the board. Because if we're all supposed to be here on a level playing field as far as equal opportunity of success, right? We're all supposed to have that equal opportunity for success. And you as a large company are saying, you're the small guy? Yeah, no, sorry. You have to charge the same amount off app as you do on app, compared to Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, a $1 trillion company. No, that's wrong in my opinion.
10% for the big guy.
Hey, Hunter, you want to come over and lay around trouble?
Oh, jeez.
No, I don't want a crack addict. No way.
And make sure you go see your dad and get a crack pipe for us.
By the way, subscribe and like our page. And I just want to say,
we're actually going to charge $2 extra based on what I just heard.
with that great end rant there, Our sponsor for the week is Crypto Mining Racks. Come get yours today.
Dude, you're giving us a shout out. You're the man.
CryptoMiningRacks.com.
CryptoMiningRacks.com. You can start your own mining today.
Nice.
Look at that. Look at the easy starts available. Oh, dude.
That's great.
Tech Helicopter, you got a good business there, my man.
Well, Commander Dayton.
Commander Whalls. Until next time, my man.
It's been a great
Go
show.
in grace. Go in grace.
I'll see you in the bromance later.
Come snuggle. I'm naked.